I wanted to share with you how I've been reducing night feeds with my baby. I started that a month ago when she was around 13 months old. She was still waking up every 2 hours all night long. And for a whole week she was even waking up every 45 minutes after I put her in bed. And I thought that was really normal and healthy, or that was just a phase, that these too shall pass. But after I've learned about aware parenting and Alyssa Salter's and Marion Rowe's work, I've understood much more about my baby's patterns. So in this video, I want to explain to you why I've been reducing night feeds, how I've done it and what I've learned in the process, and what have been the benefits of that for us. So why I've been reducing night feeds? Well, she's now eating solids. She has proper meals, she has a proper dinner, so I know that she doesn't need booby milk for hunger anymore. The other reason is I was exhausted. I needed some more sleep, basically, and I needed more minerals as well, because when we're breastfeeding that much, we give out a lot of minerals to our baby. And the last thing is that I wanted her to have a deep sleep, because it is important for her brain to learn everything and process everything. So I wanted her to have longer periods of sleep to get into deep sleep cycles. So how I've done it, everything I do with my baby is based on communication. So I've been explaining to her what I was doing. So I speak French to her and we use sign language. Just so you can understand what I'm saying, that means booby, that's the sign for finished, that's the sign for sleep, and this is sun, the sun. So during the day, I would explain to her, you know, my darling, now during the night, booby is finished, right? Booby is finished. At night we sleep, okay? And at night, when I'm giving her the last feed before she's falling asleep, I would explain to her, now it's nighttime. You know, booby is finished during the night, booby is finished, we're gonna sleep during the night, okay? The birds and the kangaroos are sleeping, we will have booby with the sun, okay? Booby with the sun. And that little explanation became part of our routine. So after a couple of days, guess what? She was signing herself. I told her, as usual, it's nighttime, booby is finished now, and she signed for sleep. She's like, yeah, sleeping, I know, Mom, I got it. So how I started is that I was keeping every second feed at first. So instead of feeding her every hour and a half or 2 hours, I would feed her every 3 or 4 hours instead. And then I was increasing the time between feeds and feeding her every 4 or 5 hours. So I was doing it gradually. I was checking the time, and if it had been only 2 hours since the last feed, I would tell her, no, I'm not going to feed you now. And I would be consistent. So if when she wakes up, I'm telling her, no, I won't feed you now, I don't do it, right? I don't want to say no and say yes 5 minutes later. This is really confusing for her. So during the night, at first, she would wake up, sit down and ask for boobies. She says boom, 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 boom. So what I would do is that I check that all her basic needs are met, right? So I make sure that she doesn't need to pee or needs a nappy change. I will make sure that she's not in pain. I will make sure that she's not thirsty. So from that day on, I always had a water bottle or a cup of water by the bed, and I would offer her some water. And I already know that she's not hungry because she had dinner, she had booby milk less than 2 hours ago. So that's it. I check all her basic needs. And then I would explain to her lovingly. I would say, you know, it's night time, my darling. Booby is finished, my love. We sleep during the night, we sleep. And then sometimes I would even open the curtain and say, look, it's dark, the moon is out, and the birds are sleeping, and daddy is sleeping, you know, we're gonna sleep now. And so I would as well offer her a cuddle. So I tell her, I won't give you boobies now, but we can have a cuddle, we can have a hug and fall back asleep. And very quickly she got it. She would just lie back down by herself, or she would fall back asleep in my arms. And sometimes she would cry, and I'm so glad that I've read about aware parenting. This is what I get to understand, and this is what I want to share with you today. That babies are little human beings, and like all humans, they have feelings, right? So our babies have frustrations. They can't reach a toy, they can't move from where they are, they can't communicate their needs. It is frustrating, right? They can be overwhelmed by all those new things that are around them all the time. So they do have strong feelings, anger and sadness and frustration and overwhelm. And all those negative feelings accumulate into their body, creating tension. And at some point, they need to release some of it, some of this tension, to feel more relaxed. And the good news is that babies, like all human beings, are doted with a natural healing mechanism, which is crying. Laughing is another healing mechanism, but we're going to focus on crying today. So crying, raging, screaming, shaking help them release some of the tension created by the uncomfortable feelings we mentioned before. So by crying, they heal from all the little and the big traumas they went through. So it is essential that we let our baby cry when they need to. But they need our support to heal. They need us to be with them and to listen to their cries. They need to know that we love them no matter how strong their emotions are. So we never let a baby cry by himself. This is what I do with my baby. When she's crying, I let her cry and I'm with her. I hold her, I listen to her, I look at her eyes with love and compassion, and I tell her, I'm here, I love you, I hear you frustrated, tell me all about it, my love. And I'm just present with her, that's all. So the fact that I've refused to give her the breast is triggering a big cry. It's triggering a big cry, but remember, she's not hungry. She had dinner, she had a full breast meal, she's not crying because she's hungry, but rather because she needs to cry. And offering her the breast at this point to stop her from crying would be disrespectful. You might think that this is a strong statement. I have to remind you that I'm all about demand feeding. But what's happening here is different. Let's take a parallel example. Say you had a bad day and you feel frustrated and angry and overwhelmed, and you meet with your friends, with your best friend, and you start telling her about your day and about how you feel, but she doesn't listen. And instead, she's trying to put some cake in your mouth, even though she knows you're not hungry. How would you feel about that? You would probably feel pretty upset at her. You would think that she's being disrespectful. She's not listening to you. She's trying to put food in your mouth instead. And that's the same that we do to our babies. When they're telling us how upset they are and we put them on the breast, we are dismissing their feelings. And also, when you had a bad day and something is really bothering you, can you sleep well? I know that it takes me longer to fall asleep, and that if I wake up in the middle of the night, I will start thinking again and I could not go back to sleep sometimes. Well, the same is happening to our babies. When they have lots of frustration stuck into their body, they don't sleep well and they wake up very often or very early in the morning. And that's what was happening for my baby. So it took about 5 or 6 nights before she started sleeping longer. As I said, sometimes she would just fall back asleep, and sometimes she would cry for a little bit, and sometimes she would cry a lot. And I'm not going to lie to you, it is not easy at first to listen to your baby crying. And the reason why it's not easy, it's because it's unconsciously bringing up memories of our own crying when we were a child and we were probably left alone to cry. But it is so important that we offer our little ones the possibility to cry and to heal. Because if these uncomfortable feelings they want to express are not expressed, then they are repressed and they stay in their body. So offering my baby the breast to stop her from crying is making her feel better, but only temporarily, because the feelings don't go away. And they will show up somehow. And that's what happens when the child doesn't sleep well, or doesn't eat well, or can't focus very long on a task, or when it starts biting or hitting you or other kids. These can all be symptoms of repressed feelings that are trying to get out of their body somehow. And offering our baby the opportunity to cry in our arms with our loving support is offering them the chance to naturally and positively release these feelings and to heal from their frustration and traumas. So it's really important. So what have been the benefits for us? Well, the first thing is that she's sleeping longer periods of sleep. So she is finally getting into deep sleep cycles. She was sleeping so deeply sometimes that I could not even hear her breathing. I had to check, putting my hand on her back. Okay, she's breathing. That's good. That whole process made me realize that I was feeding her so much that she might have been so uncomfortable. She had a full belly all night long, so she always woke up because she needed to pee or to burp or to let some gas out. And so the more she was waking up, the more I was feeding her, and the more uncomfortable she'd be, and so the more she would wake up, and so I would feed her again, and that was just too much. So another benefit is that she wakes up hungry now. So she used to have no breakfast, and no wonder why. I was feeding her all night long. So now she wakes up and we have a proper meal for breakfast. The biggest benefit, I think, of all that is that she had the opportunity to let uncomfortable feelings out of her body and feeling more relaxed at night, but also during the day. And now she's so chilled out and happy. And the last benefit is that I sleep better too. Yay! So I feel happier, I feel more energized, I'm feeling more like being and playing with her all day. And I finally started getting some stuff done. Yay! So that's it. To conclude, I would say that communication is the key to any respectful relationship. So talk to your baby, look at her eyes and explain to her everything you're doing. Babies are smart and they deserve the chance to be talked to. You would be amazed by how much she can understand. And talking to her is essential as well to develop language skills. So with my baby, I kept explaining to her every night as a little routine, that's the last booby, it's night time, booby is finished now, booby is finished, now we're gonna sleep. And after 3 weeks of doing that every night, I thought I would stop saying it because that would be insulting her intelligence. I think she got it. And guess what? She by herself pointed at my breast and signed for finished. And then she signed for dodo, for sleeping. I was like, yay, she totally got it. The whole process makes sense to her. And I love that I can just explain to her what's going on and all the changes that are happening for her. I feel this is respectful and it's building a relationship of trust between her and me. There is no deep relationship without honest communication. So if you want an authentic and flowing relationship with your child, talk to her from age 0. And I also recommend you check my video about baby sign language if you want to give her the keys to communicate with you. That's it. Thanks for watching and sleep well.